Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Tracy, and here I am to walk you through another week of Cisiweb 74 JavaScript. Last week in JavaScript, we were using object-oriented JavaScript to work with objects and create custom objects. This week is related because we're going to manipulate data in strings and arrays. And to do so, we're going to check out the properties and methods of the string object and the properties and methods of the array object, which is the primary focus of this chapter. So we're still working with objects, and we're doing exactly what we were doing the last chapter, but focusing a little bit more on what properties and what methods are associated with these two objects and how you can use them. Also in this chapter is creating regular expressions. Regular expressions is how you validate user input. Creating a regular expression says, for example, if you were trying to get an email on a form for your database, you want to make sure that it has some letters and @ symbol, some more letters, and then a dot, and then a comma or something else. You could create a regular expression to show the format that it should be inputted. In this chapter, it also discusses converting between strings and arrays and between strings and JSON. JSON is the JavaScript object that can be used to transmit those object contents to other programs. Okay, so that's everything that you're going to see in chapter 8. And of course, as usual, I'm giving you additional resources. More information can be found at W3 Schools for both of those objects. And I always trust the W3 Schools references because they have a nice way of, hold on, let me move this over just a bit. They have a nice way of explaining, they have a nice way of demonstrating, and they have the try it yourself, which is pretty cool. So here's the string properties and methods showing that a string is an object and how that works within JavaScript. So coming back to here, which is more information on regular expressions. Here's more information on the array object, same thing. JavaScript array reference, and please take a look at those. They're gonna let you practice with this code. And there's some string and array processing here, which is how you convert an array to a string. So let's open up the PowerPoint for this week. So here we are, PowerPoint that I downloaded, and we're ready to take a look at it. So manipulating strings, just like in the other objects we work at, this string is any text that is contained by quotation marks. And those are actually called string literals. So you can see in this example, main heading is in quotes. That becomes a string literal. And when you get an element by ID and you pull an inner HTML, you can pull out particular string literals and reassign them to variables. So this shows an example of a variable that could change. Parsing is a way to manipulate strings where you extract characters or substrings, taking out pieces. We use the string class also to parse text in scripts. And formatting is done using special characters like the \. You can see in this example that says main head equals today's /s forecast. What that is saying is that's an escape character. And the escape character means I want to print this next character. I don't want to end my string literal with a quotation mark. And so that's what's happening there. There's other special characters, such as these examples that show copyright and so forth. Those special characters have character codes, and you can look those up to get examples of character codes. Another method that's associated with strings is changing them all to uppercase or to lowercase, as these examples can demonstrate. There's a length property of a string. Strings are very versatile. There's a lot that they can do. The length property of string tells you how many characters. In this example, country is equal to the string literal Kingdom of Morocco, and then string length is equal to country.length, pulling out the property of that object, which will tell you how many characters it is. If you look at this, you'll see that it's 18, even though if you actually count the letters, you would find that there's only 16 letters. Spaces count as characters in this example. Finding and extracting substrings uses the methods that are built into the string object as well. Character at, character code at, index of, last index of are all search and extraction methods of that string class, and you can find more about them on the W3 Schools link. But each one of them serves a specific purpose by returning the character at a certain index. Index is the position within the string because a string is actually an array of characters. The first character of any string is index 0, and then it goes up 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So character at index is saying what is at this position. A Unicode character code returns if there is a character code at that position, like an ampersand or a hashtag. An index of performs a case-sensitive search. That means capital T, lowercase t, two different things. And last index of returns the position number in a string at the last instance of the first character in the text argument. There's match, search, slice, and substring. All of these help find pieces within a string to extract smaller strings. Finding a match will return if something is within there, is it within that string, and null will be returned if it's not. Search returns the position of what's in that string. Slice takes a substring from one piece to another, and substring extracts a string starting with the position number. So this shows you some examples of the results that you could get using character at, character code at, index of, last index of, search, slice, and substring, and what the results would be within JavaScript. The two types of string search methods return the numeric position in the text string, and the numeric position is what is the index number of all of the characters within the string starting at index 0. So in those examples of index of, using index of ampersand will return what the value is. And then using it by including a position with returns -1 says that it's prior to that position. Okay, so some more examples of search and index of are all listed in here, in addition to slice, showing the way that they would work given a string literal. Replace is another method that can be used with strings, and that's where you create a new string with the first instance of the pattern and replace it. Concat is a method that adds two strings together. So if you use the name of the string and the dot syntax to call the concat function, then you can take two pieces and combine them. Here's an example of using concat. Name equals Theodore Seuss Geisel. Pen name equals Dr. Seuss. Bio equals pen name dot concat. Was the pen name of, comma, name. And it would return Dr. Seuss was the pen name of Theodore Seuss Geisel. And so you can see that concatenation is like addition, but it's for strings. There's a comparison operator to see if they're exactly the same. 3 equal signs to compare strings compares individual characters and their position within the string. Okay, moving forward to regular expressions, which is similar and with the use of strings, it is a pattern for matching and manipulating strings. So when you create a regular expression, you begin and end it with forward slashes. This shows that a URL protocol must include HTTPS, and that's what it's used by here. If we say that the regular expression has to include HTTPS, and then we say that a URL is this, and then search result is equal to searching the URL protocol, it would return a -1, meaning false, because it doesn't have HTTPS. A regular expression establishes the exact characters that are necessary. A test method will return a value of true if it contains that regular expression. Otherwise, it returns a value of false. And so the reason we use regular expressions is because we want to make sure that it contains the characters that we need. Okay, this crazy regular expression pattern looks like it's some kind of a foreign language. But what it's saying in here, in this regular expression, is that an email pattern must contain underscores, letters, numbers, capital and lowercase, and it can have a dash in there. But then after that, it has to have it could have a dot in there and more letters and numbers and so forth. And in here, it's going to need to contain, it's going to have to end with dot and then letters with 2 to 6 characters at the end. And in somewhere in the middle, it's going to have an ampersand. So this whole thing, letters, numbers, a dot, more letters, numbers, is maybe, and then it has to have an ampersand with more letters, numbers, and then a dot, and it can have a second dot. That's possible. This whole email pattern is a regular expression to test whether or not what was inputted is an actual email, that it has letters or numbers and some stuff before an ampersand, and then it has some more letters or numbers, and then a period, and then some character extension. And so that's kind of what's being used with regular expressions, is being able to test. You can see the JavaScript regular expression meta characters in here, and what each of them mean. Matches a single character, next character, beginning of string, end of string. And so regular expressions is very similar to the use of string objects, but you're just establishing a pattern. Okay, I'm going to skip past regular expressions right now because I don't think I assigned any homework in it. And we're going to just talk about arrays so I don't make this video too long. Here's another object that has properties and methods. You can see that things that you do to an string, you can also do to an array, like being able to slice it and find substrings of a string, of an element within an array. So the primary method for finding a value in an array is by looping through it one at a time and see if you can find true. But you can also use the slice method to return a copy of an array and assign it to a different value. Here is an example of using the slice method for an array, because in this case, it is got the largest states, and the 5 largest states just picks index 0 through 5, meaning it's only going to take the top 5. Adding and removing elements to a beginning of array, we use the shift method and the unshift method to add one or more elements to the beginning of the array. Here is an example of that one. And the length property, just like with the string, will tell me how many elements exist within the array. The pop method removes the last element, and the push method adds a new element to the end. So in this case, we can, oops, I didn't mean to go a page forward. In this case, as opposed to the shift and unshift, we're putting them at the end instead of the beginning. The splice method allows you to renumber the indexes within your array so that they can go in a different order. Sorting method lets you sort the elements of your array alphabetically, and it also lets you combine other elements of the array. All right, I'm going to stop here. There's a little bit more in here. If you have any questions, let me know, but I don't want to make this video any longer than it has to be. I hope this is helpful to you. And if you have any questions, then message me and we will figure out how to solve any questions that you have or find answers. Have a good week. I will talk to you soon.